Thanks for joining us. We're going to get started in just a moment here with the Penn State Public Policy Master of Public Policy Degree Program webinar. If you have any questions for today's webinar, there's a chat window on the right, and we'll be answering some questions at the end, so be sure to include those in the chat window. You can also email us, publicpolicy@psu.edu. And again, we'll get started in just a few moments. Today's presentation is just going to last for about 20 minutes or so, and then we're going to open it up to questions. So hang out for a few moments and then we'll get started. Just waiting for a couple more people to enter the chat. But thanks so much for joining us and for registering. All right, we're going to go get started. Hi, I am Whitney Sheridan. I'm the Director of Communications. I'm going to be moderating today's forum along with our presenter, Chris Whitko. We want to thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be talking about Penn State's new Master of Public Policy degree program in the School of Public Policy. I want to encourage you to visit our website, publicpolicy.psu.edu. And again, you can email us anytime at publicpolicy@psu.edu to talk with Chris Whitko, our Associate Director, or any of our advisors or faculty anytime if you have questions. But we're going to go get started. Before I turn things over to Chris Whitko, he's our Associate Director again. He's also a Professor of Public Policy and Political Science. I want to remind you, please I want to encourage you to ask us any questions in the chat window throughout the presentation or email us again. But I want to let you know that we will be responding to those questions throughout the presentation. But today's webinar is going to be addressing several things. I just want to let you know before I turn it over to him that we're going to be talking about. Chris is going to be giving you an overview of the MPP, Master of Public Policy degree program. He's going to be talking about who's suited for the MPP program, talking about curriculum and the skills you're going to gain, career options and income expectations for grads, the application process, and of course, I want to remind you again, we're going to take questions. And now I'd like to introduce Chris Whitko.
Thank you so much, Whitney, for that kind introduction, and thanks to everybody out there on the World Wide Web for joining us. So I'm going to, first of all, just tell you a little bit about the Masters of Public Policy degree. Our degree program is a 2-year on-campus degree program. There's some flexibility involved in that if you have transfer credits and so forth. But in general, for most people, it would be a 2-year on-campus degree program. For those of you just that aren't too familiar with the MPP degree at all, it's a degree that teaches you the skills necessary to understand the policy process, to design and analyze public policy, and the ultimate goal for this degree is to get you a job in the field of public policy. Who is this program right for? It's right for people that have a passion for public service and who want to make a difference in the world around them. Beyond that, it's really open to majors of any type, people with different interests in different types of policy.
So Chris, what if I'm an art history major? Is that a complimentary undergrad program?
Yes, it is, because believe it or not, there's actually history and art policies that governments and nonprofits work with. It would be really hard to think of a major or substantive interest that is not relevant to public policy, just because government and policy touches so much of our lives these days.
Cool.
So just for a little bit of an overview about the program, you can, of course, look on our website for very detailed information about our curriculum. But again, like I said, the MPP is designed to provide professional training for those seeking careers in the design, adoption, implementation, and evaluation of public policies. And we accomplish this with our core curriculum, our specializations, an internship, and a capstone experience. So the core curriculum covers things like the substance of the policy process, how it works, what institutions are involved, technical skills in data analysis, policy analysis, program evaluation, and so forth. The specializations, which I'll talk more about in a minute, introduce you to some substantive expertise on particular topics. And then between year 1 and year 2, we have an internship that students are going to do in Washington, D.C., or Philly, or New York. That'll depend on your interests, and you'll work with our professor of practice and internship coordinator to find something that's suitable for you. And then in the spring of your second year, you'll do an applied capstone experience. And again, that's applied professional experience. You'll be working with an organization in the community or in Washington, D.C., or something along those lines, again, depending on your interests, doing an applied research project for them. And then we're going to make all this work for you to get you a job. Again, our professor of practice will work with you and help you to get a job. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. In terms of the specializations that I mentioned, we have several that you can see up on the screen that if you're interested in that, you can just do that specialization. And I won't read them off because you can look at them. The one thing I'll say in addition is if you have some interest in unique field of public policy or area of public policy, we can have you design your own personalized specialization as well. So for instance, if you're interested in, say, water policy, you can look around and find classes at Penn State. We have a huge university that teaches in all sorts of things, and you'll find something that fits your needs.
And one of the things, Chris, can you talk a little bit about the curriculum? You mentioned that the unique thing about this degree is that it delivers, data analytics and project design. But one of the things that students talk a lot about, they've had concerns about with us is some of the data analysis and math that might be involved in the curriculum is a little bit of a concern to them.
Yeah, and that's understandable. I don't know. A lot of people are probably like me. I was a political science major as an undergrad, and one reason I chose that is because I pretty much didn't want to take math courses anymore. Well, I've changed my tune on that, and I now love data analysis. So that shows you anybody can learn, but also we don't expect you to come in here with a high level of math or data analysis knowledge. We're teaching you that. If we thought you had it, we wouldn't have the courses in the core curriculum. So don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid of that. We'll meet you where you are, and we'll take you to success in that area. Okay, so another question that is relevant, particularly for a professional degree like this, is what can I do with my job? For MPP grads, there's lots of different options. Typical jobs would be things like budget analysts, government affairs professionals, or to use the dirty word, lobbyists, consultants, data analysts, and really a lot of other types of positions. Similarly, the employers and sectors are really varied between national and state and local governments, think tanks and consulting firms, nonprofit organizations, lobbying firms, and really any type of company that has interactions with the government, which is pretty much any company these days. And you can work in education, healthcare, security, intelligence, human rights, poverty alleviation, international policy, and so forth. Mm-hmm. One thing that we're doing right now is hiring a professor of practice who's one of their main jobs is going to be to help you to get a good job in the area that you want to work in. We also have a lot of other resources at Penn State to help you with that. Like we have the Career Enrichment Network in the College of Liberal Arts that helps our students. So we're looking forward to getting you guys great jobs because that's going to be a tremendous advertisement for our program.
One thing I want to remind everybody is that we will be taking questions at the end, and I already saw one in the chat window, which is great. So keep those coming, and you can also email us at publicpolicy@psu.edu.
Yes, please do keep the questions coming. So, of course, the question you want to be asking yourself is when you're paying for a master's degree is, will it pay off? And with the MPP degree, the answer is an emphatic yes. According to the Census Bureau, the Master's in Public Policy graduates earn about an average of $19,000 more a year than someone with just a bachelor's degree. Recent data, we looked at pay scale the other day, and it shows that MPP grads typically earn between 40 and 125,000 when they're getting out of school. Now, that's going to vary depending on whether you go into nonprofits or consulting, where you fall in that range. Indeed.com reported a mean salary of about 70,000. To drill down into the numbers a little bit more, we have some NASPA data. NASPA is the Network of Schools of Public Affairs and Administration. And if you look at the column on the right, that kind of shows you the data over the last several years of a survey they've done of MPP and MPA graduates. And it shows you the salary ranges for these graduates 3 years after they obtained their degree. You can see that the median is between 55,000 and 65,000, but about a third of people are making above 75,000, and that's 3 years out from the degree. So when you think about what you could do with a bachelor's in a social science field or humanities field, you're going to be earning considerably more money with a master's in public policy for sure.
Oh, sorry, I went too far there.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about how do you apply, though, to this program?
Okay, so
I know people are really interested in some of this info.
Yes, this is one of the most important things, of course. So first of all, if you have questions throughout the process, again, just email us at publicpolicy@psu.edu. But basically, go to gradschool.psu.edu.
And you can access this through our website.
Yes, if you go to our website, there's a tab about it says apply or how to apply or something along those lines. Click on that and it'll take you right there. Generally, you need to have a 3.0 GPA for your bachelor's or international equivalent. But, if you're really strong on another aspect of your application, we can be somewhat flexible with that. You need to have 2 letters of recommendation, a 1,500-word personal statement, and we review applications on a rolling basis. Now, one thing we've decided to do is eliminate the GRE requirement, and we've done that because just looking at the research on this, it really does discriminate against first-generation students, minority students, and it isn't actually a very good indicator of how well people do once they're in the graduate program. So we've eliminated that, which will reduce some cost and time and effort on your part. If you're interested in starting in fall 2019, we do have some slots, and we hope you'll apply, but I recommend that you get on that pretty quickly because it can take a little while to process applications. So get moving on that soon if that's something you're interested in. Okay.
So there was that GRE question. We had one of those in the chat, and I saw a question about internships that we'll answer in just a few moments. But one more slide to go, and then we'll get to some questions.
Yeah. Okay, so why would you choose Penn State? There's a number of MPP degree programs out there. Of course, Penn State is an excellent university with a very good reputation. But aside and on top of that, one thing that I mentioned is the flexibility of designing your own specialization or choosing from our existing specializations, and we do have a number of them. Initially, we're going to have a fairly small number of students, which means you're going to get a lot of attention from faculty and career staff, and we're going to be highly invested in getting you really good internships and really good jobs, because that's going to be, first of all, a way that you're going to go out there and have impact, but secondly, a way that we're going to advertise the program. We're going to give you great Penn State has leadership and cutting edge skills like data analytics. The director of data analytics for Google, for instance, is a poli-sci PhD from Penn State, and our data analytics track is offered through poli-sci, and we have other great faculty in sociology, criminology, and so forth. The final thing is that Penn State has one of the largest and most loyal alumni networks of any university in the world, and that's great for job seekers. They're willing to help out Penn State alums. We've already been contacted by a bunch of alums, even though we're a brand new program. The one thing I'll say in closing, well, 2 things, I guess. Happy Valley is also quite a nice place to spend a couple of years. They don't call it Happy Valley for no reason. And we also have a better football team, I think, than most other universities that have an MPP program. So that's something, too, if you're interested in football.
One thing about the specialization flexibility that's really cool is that you can work with any college or program across University Park. So that's something that's a great opportunity to get to network all across the university. So in addition to networking with all of these alumni, you're meeting people from all across the university.
That's right.
Which is really neat, and making all these connections.
Yeah, and taking advantage of really the excellence that we have in the different colleges across the university.
Right. So we're going to open it up to questions now. And again, I want to encourage you that if you don't have any questions for the chat, you can always email us anytime, reach out to us anytime. Publicpolicy@psu.edu is a great way to reach out to us anytime. You can visit us on our website, publicpolicy.psu.edu. And now I see we have some questions in here in the chat, which is great. So Megan asks us, what kind of internships do you suggest for this program? Do they need to be done in New York, DC, or Philly?
That's going to be tailored to your interest. So whatever kind of internship you want to do, that's the kind of internship we're going to try to get for you.
Cool.
And we'll have resources in place to do that to the best of our ability. We can't guarantee any particular internship with any particular organization, of course, but we'll have staff and people in place to do as much as we can to help you get the type of internship that you want. And no, it doesn't need to be done in a particular city.
Okay. And Sakshi asks, would the fact that I have an Indian citizenship be a barrier to job access?
Well, in terms of the application, the only thing you would need to do in addition is take the TOEFL or the IELTS. In terms of jobs, I'm not an immigration lawyer or anything like that, so I can't really answer that question. On our end, it wouldn't affect in any way, of course, what we would try to do to get you a job. You'd have access to the exact same resources as anybody else coming from the United States.
That brings up a question that we get a lot, Chris, which is international student requirements for the application process. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Like I said, they're basically the same as, well, they're exactly the same as domestic students, except for the fact that you need to take your TOEFL or your IELTS. Other than that, they're the same. Another thing that I just want to highlight in case there's any PSU undergrads out there, and this is a question we get asked a lot, is there a way to get started on this while you're an undergrad? And the answer is yes. We have a couple of IUGs, integrated undergraduate, graduate degree programs with sociology and criminology. But even beyond that, if you're a senior at PSU, you can get started by taking 500 and 800 level courses, up to 4 of those your senior year. So you could take up to 4 courses in the MPP program, and then when you graduate, enter the program full time, and you'd have 4 courses knocked out.
Cool. We got another question. How difficult will it be to land an internship in a field like consulting or data analysis?
It'll be easy to land an internship in consulting or data analysis. We think most of our interns will probably go to organizations and do data analysis for sure, because that's one thing that Penn State is excellent at, and that's a thing that a lot of organizations do not have the capacity that they really need to be having in this day and age of data-driven policymaking.
And that's a growing field, or something that's really
absolutely
necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. I've worked with state governments. When I was in South Carolina, for instance, I did some stuff with the state Medicaid agency in terms of training their employees to do data analysis. And a lot of organizations do not have the in-house capacity that they need for that. So that's an area where I think our interns will be very successful at getting internships, and even very good organizations don't necessarily have the capacity they need. And then that's going to be a good way to get a job too.
And especially for nonprofits now, and other government agencies need to prove that they need the funding now, right?
Yes, exactly. So everybody, I mean, the days of just giving people money and hoping good things happen are over, whether that's in the public sector, nonprofit sector, or private sector. So you need to basically show that what you're doing is effective. And how you do that is with policy analysis and program evaluation. That's what you're going to learn in this program.
Well, speaking of this, and this is the question that I keep coming back to as I can consider this, is any sort of math or technical background required for this degree? This came across in the chat, and it's the same concern I have again.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
No, let me repeat. There's not any particular math background or technical background that's needed. There's not any at all.
Or what about specifically for data analysis?
We're going to start you in the first semester with a gentle introduction to data analysis and statistics. And then in the second semester, there'll be a more advanced class. And then in year 2, you'll do policy analysis and program evaluation. So let me repeat. You could come from this, have not ever taken a math class since high school, and you'll be fine as long as you're willing to work hard.
The one thing, too, is that we have a small program, but we're part of a larger university system, one of the top ranked and largest graduate schools in the country. So while we're a small program with a great number of faculty, expert faculty, you're getting one-on-one resources here in the program, but then you have the resources of Penn State. So
yeah, it's great.
You get individualized attention.
And we have faculty who we've hired, and everybody who's going to be teaching the data analysis courses and the kind of technical courses, they're going to really know exactly where our students are coming from, and they're going to tailor things to where they need to be for our students to succeed. It's not going to be dumbed down in any way, but we're going to gently introduce you to the concepts and the tools that you need to succeed.
Great.
We don't want anybody coming in here and failing and not succeeding. That's not what we want to have happen. So we're not going to allow that to happen.
Well, again, if there are any additional questions, we want to see them in the chat. Oh, it looks like we already talked about the GRE requirement is not.
So
there is no GRE requirement.
That's not necessarily been updated on every website that you might find at Penn State. But let me repeat, the GRE is not required. For international applicants, for domestic applicants, GRE is not required. We don't require it anymore. And we recently reached that decision because we don't think the GRE is a good indicator of what people can do in the program.
Right. So that is new for us, brand new news that we were very excited to come to that decision. So no GRE, but you can also talk to us anytime. Email us publicpolicy@psu.edu. Come visit us on campus if you're able to as well. And any more questions in the chat are welcome, or again, email us as well. We are also hosting another webinar on June 25th, if you can join us again and have additional questions anytime. Also visit our website. You can make a request for information and we'll send you a copy of our brochure and some other details too. Again, our website is publicpolicy@psu.edu. Chris, do you have any other information?
No, I don't really have any additional information. I just want to reiterate what Whitney said. We look forward to hearing from you. Any questions that you have, any concerns, we look forward to hearing from you. And probably the best thing to do is honestly just email us, because with schedules and things, it's really hard to get us, just call us in the office or something like that. But if you email us, then we can set up a time to talk.
Yeah, and if you visit our website, you can take a look at our faculty list. Chris's info is on there. Chris Whitco, our associate director, is on there. He's been our presenter today. But we want to thank everybody who's been joining us today and all of these great questions as well. And again, I really encourage you to email us. We're very responsive. Chris is very responsive. Stephen is our advising and enrollment manager as well. He's very
and he's very responsive. And he'll if you email us, we'll typically be back to you within 24 hours, if not sooner. Usually sooner, but definitely within 24 hours. So again, please email us. We thank you very much for your interest in this program.
Yeah, and we're also going to have this presentation available for you guys to download. And please do not hesitate to get in touch with us anytime as well. And we welcome your questions. Thank you again so much. Please follow us on social media and reach out to us anytime. We'd love to have you join us as soon as the fall if you're able.
Yes, that would be great. We are definitely interested, in fall applicants.
Yes, thank you so much. We hope to see you soon.
Goodbye.
Bye.